Who are you? Where are you? What's happening around you? What's your relationship to where you are? What's your relationship to the people around you in your life? Where did you come from a few minutes ago, an hour ago, a day ago, a year ago? Where do you expect to head in the future? The answer to these questions are the circumstances of your life. Circumstances. Now, Stanislavski called them the given circumstances, meaning they're given in the play. The answer to all these questions, all the details of the characters' lives in a play are the circumstances. Now, my problem with calling it given circumstances is that they are not always in the script. Sometimes you have to infer. Sometimes you have to do an imaginative exploration to fill in the gaps, to fill in the holes that the play is, or the script is suggesting. So even in the greatest of plays, even with a dramatist like Shakespeare, who wrote plenty of words, there are still gaps that are left that have to be answered if we want to create a full 360-degree human being. So the imaginary circumstances, because what we're doing here is a play, it's a film, it's a television show, it's some sort of dramatic representation of a world. So they're imaginary circumstances. And it's our job as the dramatists to fully consider the imaginary circumstances. As the actor, you have to be a master detective. You have to search with a fine-tooth comb through that text, and you have to be able to answer, who are you? Where are you? What are you doing? Where did you come from? Where are you expecting to go? What are your relationships? What's getting in your way? What are the obstacles? These basic questions will reveal deeper and deeper layers of circumstance. And the more you can embody the layering of those circumstances, the more captivating, the more honest, the more authentic, the more interesting your performance will be. So, so some may say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what questions you ask about things that are not in the text, because it's all in the text. All you need is what's in the text. And I agree with that, and I disagree with that. All of your choices as the actor need to be supported by the text. They need to be supported. You need to be able to look at the text and extrapolate from the text the choices that you're making. You need to be able to support your choices with the text, in my opinion, or you're just kind of floating in this crazy land of random non sequitur choices and ideas. Your choices need to be supported in the text. But if you are working on a play by Harold Pinter, there's no possible way that you'll find all of the answers that you need in the text. There are too many pauses and spaces and gaps and ambiguity. And if you don't know, as the actor, if you don't know the answer to those questions, if you don't have some sort of an innate, instinctive exploration of what these circumstances are, if you don't know who you are and what your relationship is, you just sort of have a general idea, then you're not going to be telling a full, detailed story. You're not going to be doing everything that you can be doing to hold up your end of the bargain as one of the collaborators in bringing the story to life. So you have to daydream. You have to imagine. You have to ask yourself questions. You have to be a detective. You have to be a scientist. You have to be looking at the text and then dreaming, well, what could this possibly be? A script is just a blueprint. It's just a blueprint. It gives you the framework. You have to fill it up. And if you just leave it up to chance, if you just leave it up to chance and talent and sort of instinct and say, well, I'll just sort of say the lines and I'll just sort of move around in a general way that will tell the story, then you're taking a big risk. You're taking a big risk, and you're going to, maybe sometimes you'll hit the dartboard. Sometimes you might even get a bullseye. But very often, if you don't have a craft, if you don't have a technique, if you don't have a process by which you investigate the text and you bring it to life, then when you don't have that inspiration that gets it just right, where you have the blindfold on and you just throw a dart at the dartboard, if you don't have inspiration and happen to, for whatever reason, hit the dartboard with the dart, you're going to be lost. You're going to be lost. So you need to start to work on a way as an actor to look at the text, ask yourself questions, and questions are contagious. You ask one question, well, who am I? What's my relationship to this person? Well, we're friends. Well, okay, well, there are a lot of different types of friends out there. I behave very differently with friends that I made in my adult life than friends that I've had since childhood. I behave very differently around friends that I knew in college. And I behave differently around friends that I made in grad school and in professional settings. And I behave very differently around family than childhood friends. So my behavior changes based on who I'm with. And so if you ask one question, you say, well, what's my relationship to this other character? Well, they're friends. Well, okay, there's one layer. How long have you been friends? What kind of friends are you? Well, it doesn't say in the text. Well, that's a question that needs to be asked. It doesn't say it necessarily in the text, but your behavior will be informed by the answer to that question. And you say, okay, well, I guess we're childhood friends. Well, okay, what kind of childhood friends? Like, did you meet in high school? Did you meet, like, is this your earliest friend? There are friends that I made in high school, and then there are the friends that I had, the very first friends that I had in my life. And now I'm starting to craft a 360-degree full idea of who this character is and what their relationships are, the more questions I ask. And our behavior communicates so much more than the words that we think are communicating everything. The words don't communicate nearly as much as we think. Our words, from day to day to day, we think our words contain everything, but they contain very, very little. Tone of voice, body language, behavior, pauses, all of these things communicate what's happening. They communicate the circumstances that we are in, our relationships, where we are, how we feel about where we are, how we feel about what we're doing, and where we expect to go. All of these details are revealed through our behavior. Now, as the actor, you don't want to be focused on kind of puppeteering and engineering and making your voice go up and down and sort of indicating, and I'll talk about indicating in a second, but just to make this point that behavior communicates more than words. If you think of a time that you went to a park or a restaurant or a coffee shop, somewhere out in public, and if you haven't done this, then give this a try. Just observe people. Observe people out in the world and see if you can see how much information you can get without hearing what they're talking about. You've probably done this before. You've probably just sort of had an innate sense that, oh yeah, they're on a date. They're sitting over there. They're clearly on a date. Well, do you hear what they're saying? Well, no, but it just sort of seems that way. Well, why? Well, because she's sort of leaning forward and he looks a little nervous. And, well, okay, if they were actors presenting that scene, they would have to know that. or maybe they're old friends. Maybe they're really old friends, and you just sort of have this sense that they're really comfortable with each other, and they're bantering back and forth in a really sort of comfortable way. Well, how do you know that? It's through their behavior, and they might be saying, if you were to script what they said, they might be saying the same exact words or very similar words or words that don't reveal very much, but it's through their body language, their behavior, what they're doing, that you get the full story. And so you may say, well, okay, but that is going to be pretty obvious. I'll read the script, I'll know that they're on a date or that they're friends. But that's just one or two layers scratching the surface. If you are interested in doing the type of work as an actor that can really transcend to a place of excellence, if you want to create work that is sophisticated and nuanced and powerful, if you really want to do the best work that you can, then you shouldn't just be satisfied with a kind of a general representation of a type of character or a type of relationship, sort of a rubber stamp. Oh yeah, that's that kind of, that's a first date. That's what a first date looks like. But there is no one first date. Every first date is unique, and it's unique because of the circumstances that each of those individual human beings happen to be in. So the more layered, the more nuanced, the more questions and details that you unearth, the more captivating, the more interesting, the more powerful your performance will be. And an analogy, just to make this point, is I can draw a stick figure and you'll get the idea that it's a person. That doesn't make it a great work of art. I can draw a stick figure and make the figure, the person, smile. Just a line going like this. And I know that they're smiling. That doesn't make it a great work of art, even though you're getting two pieces of information. You're getting it's a person and you're getting that they're smiling. I can start to add more details. I can give them clothing, and we can start to discern what type of person they are with the clothing. Okay, I'm starting to head towards something, but it's still not necessarily a great work of art. The more details that I add, the more details and the more purpose and the more intention and craft that I put into that, the closer it becomes to a work of art, a really truly well-crafted piece of art. So your acting, you should be ambitious enough. You should be persevering to try to achieve a level of art and sophistication that comes from detail. All right. So now, how do you do that? You look at the script, you ask lots of questions. A rehearsal room, the process of the actor, you're asking questions and you're daydreaming and you're imagining, well, how do I connect to this character? What do I imagine? What are all those details that are going to bring me to life? And you construct this life of the character that's going to support your belief for who this person is so that you can behave as them. So, okay, so you've done that. Let's say you're in the process of asking these questions. You're in the process of exploring. So here we have a crossroads. You can take all of that work and you can show the audience. You can say, well, I'm a mean person and I'm vindictive, and so I'm going to make my face look like this, and I'm going to say the lines like this, because that's the kind of person, that's the kind of way that a person would talk, like that. And you sort of puppeteer yourself and engineer your behavior so that you're listening to yourself and you're making your voice modulate in a way that sounds like it's the character. You're making your movement look like the character. And that sort of self-aware indicating to the audience, we call it indicating as actors, that very often can lead to surface level, inauthentic performances, performances that seem a little unrealized, a little surface level, and fake, for lack of a better word. There seems to be something fake and pushed and not truthful about the performance, because the actor is clearly putting their focus, putting their intention on showing us, the audience, rather than putting their intention on trying to live in the circumstances. So this is a very big, crucial issue here as actors. You've imagined, daydreamed, asked questions, you've read the script, all your choices are supported by the text. Now, you put your intention, you put your focus on going inside the world of the play, living inside the world of the script, the character, and exploring from the inside of it, pursuing the actions, the objectives, really listening. We talked about listening in a previous online lecture, really listening and being present within these circumstances, rather than putting your focus on showing the audience. That's a very important distinction that I want you all to be aware of as you're acting, as you're working on your monologues and scenes. Be aware when your focus is lost in the task at hand, lost in the world of the play, and when your focus is on, oh, I need to show that I'm happy, I need to show that I'm sad, I need to show, and you have to really get in touch with when your focus is in the world of the play and when your focus is showing or indicating. What we're going to try to do here is get you to be able to act from a place of being inside the world of the play. So this idea of indicating versus authentic embodying. Here's a little exercise that I like to do. So everybody just imagine that you have a lemon in your hand, okay? So hold out your hand, and just, if there was a lemon there, how would you hold it? And what would it look like? And just let yourself imagine this lemon. I'm not going to ask that you believe that there's a lemon. You don't have to get yourself to hallucinate, or sometimes we think about method acting, and it's like, oh, I need to hallucinate, I need to believe it. You don't have to believe it. It's just, as Stanislavski said, there's the magic if. If I tell you there's a lemon there, you say, well, that's bull. There's not. So it's a lie, and we are allergic to lying here in the work that we're trying to do. We hate lying. So there isn't a lemon in your hand. I'm not trying to get you to believe that there's a lemon in your hand. What would you do if there were a lemon in your hand? Okay? So if there were a lemon in your hand, what would it look like? So remember a time where you held a lemon, and what would it feel like? And just focus on the details. Right? Just let yourself focus on the details. Just sort of feel the rind. Is it a little cool because it was in the refrigerator? Is it sort of rubbery, rough? Go ahead and actually, right here, right as you're watching this, go ahead and go through the physical actions of just sort of investigating that lemon. How squishy is it? How ripe is it? How yellow is it? Where's the sun glint on it? Does it smell? Does the rind smell even from the outside? Is there sort of a lemony smell before you even cut into it? What is that citrus smell on the outside of the lemon? Remember that smell? All right, so now take a knife, just an imaginary knife here, and cut the lemon. How much effort does it take to cut into it? Okay, so cut it, all right, and take the two halves of the lemon and look, and so there's some juice, maybe some juice is running down your hand and sort of glistening. It's very juicy, yellow lemon. There's some seeds there. Okay, now smell it. All right. And really go through these actions. Really just imagine if there were a lemon there and you just cut it in half and it's sort of juicy and glistening, and what's that smell of that citrusy, sour, citrus, acid, citrus smell. Now look at the lemon and squeeze it a little more juice comes out. Go ahead and suck all of the juice out of one half of the lemon. Just go ahead, really do it. Really suck all that juice out. And then the other one. All that juice. And feel it in your mouth, on your lips, and your tongue going down your throat. Really feel all of the acid, the burning, and just register when you put your focus on the lemon, when you put your focus on the sour, on the burning. Did your mouth water? Did your face sort of crinkle up? Did you have any physiological responses to focusing on those details? Did you have any physiological things happen to your body? Just register that. Okay, so now we're going to do another exercise. Hold out your hand, and there's a worm in your hand, and it's kind of crawling around, so grab it, and it's a nice big juicy one. It's a nice plump worm. So give it a little squeeze. And you feel it wriggling around. Yeah, and it's a little slimy, juicy. Okay, you feel it. You feel rubbery. Yeah, it's a nice big, fat, juicy worm wriggling around. Okay, so now smell it. Yeah. Now put it in your mouth. Go ahead, put it in your mouth. Put it in your mouth. And now start to chew it. Start to chew it and feel the guts and feel how, I don't know, does it pop? Is it juicy? Do you feel the blood from the worms kind of going down your throat? Do you feel it kind of, maybe the tail is still alive and it's like tickling the back of your throat? And it's like trying not to go down your throat? Details. Now, did anybody, as you were going through this, okay, you can stop it. It's just pretend. It's just imaginary. Did anybody have any physiological response? Did anybody have any little twinge of, ooh, oh no, we're not doing that? Did you have any twinge of, oh God, that's gross. Oh, I hate worms. Did anybody have a twinge of, oh, I used to eat worms when I was a kid. They were delicious. Whatever your response was, did you have any twinge of an emotional response, a physiological response? Maybe your face did something. Maybe your body did something. Maybe you did something involuntarily. All right, so go back and remember what you did with the lemon and what you did with the worm, and see if you can distinguish something that you did that was involuntary by focusing on the details, the circumstances of what was happening. We want your acting to be involuntary. That is authentic embodiment of the circumstances. Indicating is planned. I'm going to say it this way, I'm going to do it this way, I'm going to show the audience. But acting that is involuntary is acting where you've asked all the questions. Or it's impossible to ask all the questions. You've asked many, many, many questions, and you continue to ask the questions. And you're exploring it. You're exploring it from the inside. And as you're exploring it from the inside, things are happening that you're not even anticipating. Things are happening to you. You're being taken by surprise. It's spontaneous because you're living inside the circumstances. You're putting your focus on the details of the circumstances. You're putting your focus on the details of the circumstances, and things are involuntarily happening to you. So that is a very, very important distinction. And you can do this with all sorts of very simple circumstantial elements. Maybe the script says it's really, really hot. Okay, well, there's a circumstance. It's hot for these characters. They're lost in a desert. Okay, so then you ask yourself, well, what would I do if it were really ridiculously hot? What do you do? Well, you're kind of sweating. Where's the sun? Sun's right overhead. So go ahead and just imagine that the sun is right overhead and it's burning, 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 burning. So how do you respond to that? What do you have to do in order to deal with the sun? Where do you feel it burning on exposed parts of your body? Where do you start to sweat? How does it affect how fast you move? How does it affect your breath? What do you have to do in response to the circumstances? By focusing on the details. So if it's raining, so what do you have to do to to protect yourself, to keep yourself as dry as possible. Where do you feel the rain? Is it cold rain? Is it warm rain? Is there a wind? Is the wind carrying the rain from one part of the room to the other? Do you have to come protect yourself? Is it getting in your ears and in your eyes? And rolling and trickling down your neck? Details, details, details. Focusing on those details and letting yourself behave involuntarily within those circumstances, spontaneously. So this is what you need to do as an actor. You ask yourself lots of questions. You put your focus on the inside of those circumstances, and you try to find the choices that are going to bring you to life. Maybe the lemon didn't do anything for you, but the worm, maybe it did. Maybe the lemon and the worm didn't do anything for you, but the heat, yeah, you hate really hot sun. Or maybe you love really hot sun, so maybe that did something to you. It's like, oh yeah, if only it were real nice and hot right now. Or maybe you hate the rain, and that did something to you. So whatever it is, you need to craft the circumstances for yourself. You need to craft the circumstances for yourself that are going to bring you to life. You need to find your lemon. You need to find your worm. You need to find just the right details that are going to bring you to life. So once you've asked all these questions, you have been a detective, you've been a scientist, you've tested what's going to bring you to life, what's going to awaken things inside of you, and you're putting your focus in rehearsal, in the act of daydreaming, in the act of analysis, in the act of working and reading these plays. You are right there in it. And you're putting your focus in it rather than putting your focus on what do I want to show. You're putting yourself in it. Then these circumstances are in partnership with the other two pillars that we talked about. Listening and being present, and action. What are you doing? And we'll talk about action more next week. So watch the video on the 3 pillars if you haven't already. That'll give you the overview of how this fits in with the other 2. Watch the video on listening and being present. And then next week we'll do our final 3-pillar acting video on action and objective, because each of these 3 things are in partnership with each other. You are present, putting your focus on the inside of the circumstances. You're really being present with the circumstances, letting yourself be taken by surprise. You're investigating them so that they're fully in a detailed, nuanced, embodied way in your behavior. And then the last piece is action. What are you doing? Notice I said, what are you doing to deal with this lemon? What are you doing to deal with the worm? What are you doing to deal with the heat? If the sun was right there, what would you do in response to it? So when we have these 3 things acting in partnership, action, circumstance, and being present and listening, that's where acting really starts to become something truthful, authentic, spontaneous, and alive. And that's what we're trying to do. So put the comments below, and for next week we will be looking at action. So have a great week, and I will see you later.